Hey everybody. So one of the things I wanted to do is you're starting your experience into getting and becoming AASECT certified. This is an exciting and kind of nerve-wracking experience to start off with. I'm really excited that you're going to start. I've really had my therapy experience enhanced because I've started with AASECT, the education that you learn, the people that you meet along the way, and the specialties. You start to find what specialties you love within the realm of sex therapy is just really exciting. And with you starting this, you've got questions, and I'm hoping that this video will help you not only get a concept of what's going on at the very beginning here, but also move you through so that you can start with the end in mind, where you can see what this application will look like. I've received permission from Alex Brown. She is currently going through, in fact, just submitted her paperwork today. We just finished with it. And I figured this would be a great time to be able to show you a great example of a good looking application that is going to get you really supportive when it comes to having everything organized as you work your way through the process. So let's go into it. I want to be able to share with you some of the application, the template that I want you to use and that I require all of my supervisees to use so that you can recognize or identify what it is that's going to be most supportive for you. So let's start off. We've got the certification tracking. And this, take into account that as we go through this, this is being recorded in April of 2024, and the requirements are subject to change. So take this with a grain of salt and go to the AASECT requirements on asect.org. You can go to this requirements for sex therapy certification, and that will tell you the up-to-date ones. If you're just starting, print those off, because that is what you're held to, is when you start, how you start, and what the requirements were at that point in time. So I encourage you to print those off so that you we can send in what you were required to in the moment. So we've got this first intro. I'm also in the middle of updating this because there were some things that changed just a little bit, and I want to hone this in to make it even more supportive for you. So if this looks a little different when it's sent to you, no worries. This is just keep rolling with what this looks like. So this is actually Alex's certification tracking sheet. Notice that she didn't add any numbers in here, any letters. She chose not to use the table of contents significantly. Now, this is a big change from when we went from paper onto online, and that's just a recent change this year. And so there's not a lot that she had to get together to create a table of contents. They don't ask for that in the AASECT application currently. But paper, you needed a way to be able to find all this. Now it's all hyperlinks. So this becomes much easier. So she didn't even use this other than to grab the things that she needed from a cover letter or from a table of contents, the CV, verification of membership. These were good memories, good reminders of what she needed in order. And we'll look at this at the end too. So let's start into one of the biggest things that starts off that's really important is before as you're getting things ready, I really want the section 5 or section V and section 6 or section VI that you're going to see. I want this to be a showing to you that you can see how you can set this up and what is going to be most supportive to set it up by looking at the past. So what you're going to see or looking at a past example, what you're seeing here with core knowledge, super important to know. There's 90 hours required. 75 of them can be e-learning, but the remaining 15 need to be in person at least. I highly, highly recommend that you get in with a course, whether the Bueller Institute, Modern Sex Therapy, a college that a college that you that is AASECT approved, or even doing them in modern sex therapy. I see there's the College Institute on Sex, on Intimacy and Sex, the California Institute of Intimacy and Sex. They all have a program. They work very closely with AASECT, and they get you these AASECT CEs and they can point you in where they're going to. They're going to meet all the requirements here, and it takes a lot of mental distress off of you, and it really lowers the paperwork at the very end. So while they may be a little expensive, it also takes off a lot of guesswork. And some of these are actually going to be required for you to take, and we'll get into that in just a second. But she worked through and made this her own when it came to like the ethics in sexual behavior. Here she put the advanced sex therapy and clinical sexology. She took a class at NWIOI and got her 46 hours. Some of those were sex therapy, which is section VI or section 6, and then some of them were in this one in section V, the core education. So you can see she did that. She also took a University of Utah Masters in Social Work Sex Therapy program, the Human Sexuality course in the fall of 2019. So she really put this together well. She's attended Rocky Mountain Sex Summit, and within that, Michelle Sanchez did a course in there that was a half-hour long, and she was able to put this into section C. So as you go through this, you can see that she was organizing it and being able to put the organization together immediately within the all the way through, so that she knew what she needed to look up at the end. Same thing goes with sex therapy. Now, the important part is that the sex therapy, 30 of these hours need to be, or they can be e-learning. However, 30 of them need to be in person, non-asynchronous is what it is. This changed from e-learning since COVID, if I remember correct, but they need to be a part of a synchronous college, university, or program in sex therapy that is AASECT approved. At least 30 of those hours need to. The thing that I like about the application here, if you look through on the AASECT organization website, they say the difference between section 5 and section 6 is that the section 5 are required to have general knowledge about human sexuality. Section 6 is directed at specific skills in sex therapy. So if you're learning about, there's one thing about learning about sensate focused therapy and learning about it, the introduction, the knowledge, just getting the knowledge of sex of sensate focused. And then there's a difference between how do you implement, how do you do the work of sensate focus as a sex therapist? How do you manage barriers and blocks? How do you work with competing motivations? That is sex therapy. That's section 6, not just learning about it. If you're ever curious or unsure, talk with me about it, because or talk with your supervisor, because that is the way that you essentially get these, we determine that. So you'll see here in the application we go over with Alex that there are some that me and her had talked to previous before her taking the class. We went through the objectives and decided whether they were CKAs, section 5, or STTs, section 6, the sex therapy trainings. So that's important for you to know, minimum 3 clock hours. And then looking at the other requirements, just make sure you're going through and recognizing that that you're getting those 60 and that you're taking it. Again, if you're taking it from a course, just get the information. They have people at Bueller Institute, at these other organizations that do this on a daily basis. They have them organized so that they can give you your CKAs or they can give you your CEs, and then they'll also give you that rubric or that outline of where those can go and how you apply them. It's very slick. It's very time saving. Then you've got your SAR, which is required 14 hours. You have to attend it synchronously. And you do need to submit a 1-page comprehensive statement of your professional philosophy, goals of sex therapy, and how it affected that philosophy. Maybe it affected it neutrally, maybe it affected it poorly, maybe it affected it in a great way this way, but not this way. Getting what your experience was and how it affected your philosophy after the SAR. Then we've got clinical practice. These 300 hours do not count until you have a primary supervisor that is supervising you through this. So until you get that contract in place or that agreement in place, supervision does not count, and the 300 hours don't start counting until you have that. So even like if you start a group supervision, don't start other supervisions until you have your primary supervisor that can oversee that. This is going to change a little bit. We're going to simplify it a little bit more because they only ask for like family and a couple other things in the application. And then also there's going to be another section here where we're going to talk about what disorders you've treated. So be keeping track of how many times you've treated certain disorders and within different clients. Then tracking the supervision from individual to group, it's important to know that you need 50. Your primary supervisor, you're going to have a minimum of 20 supervision hours. And you can get 5 with somebody else, or you can get as many individual as you'd like. I find that can be helpful to have different supervisors, but no, you're going to be at least 20 with your primary supervisor, and the max you can get with group is 25 hours. And then you can't have more than 6 supervision hours a month, and supervision has to happen at least 18 months. So know that that's one of those requirements. Then you can look through the application of tracking. She used this in the sense of she had it gathered, and that's all she really needed. Again, this was created when there was more of a paper and PDF, and there was a lot more compiling. This is less with the online, but you've got the different sections here that will walk you through what needs to be done, and that works out well. So let's look at the JOT form that's required. So one of the things that I think is important is we look at what questions show up. So Alex, in all of these, is just going to show the answers that she went through. And I will pull up another one of the actual application. And we'll look through kind of a side-by-side comparison. But these are all the answers that she provided. So she checks that she's a current AASECT member. She's been in AASECT and been an AASECT member throughout her supervision. That's required. You need to pay your dues every year. And then being able to answer those other questions, whether she's following the AASECT requirements, if you have any actions pending against you. Great example of then she uploaded her transcripts from the U of U and USU. This is where the section, the section 5 and section 6 are really important. This is what I want to see in your application, because you're going to fill out each one of these, that this was synchronous, the dates that you went in the month, the hours that you're counting towards it, what the institution was. In this situation is NWIOI. You're going to see this through every section because she got hours in every one. It is so slick. And then the course title, what happened? She's very good at putting what day this was, and that's really important in this section. So we've got day 5, clinical sexology. Awesome. That is going towards her ethics and ethical behavior. You're going to see this go through University of Utah, just like what you saw in the application, or that tracking sheet that I have out there, along with the other ones that are in here. So I'm going to scroll here to the bottom, because here at the bottom is where all of the uploads are. This is where your organization can be really helpful, that as you take a class and they give you the CEs, download the CEs, download the syllabus, and let's start marking them up. I'm going to show you how to mark them up. But in each one of these, what I want you to do is I want you to label them Section V, which is Section 5, CKA, which means it's a part of that 90 hours, Section C. So I know that the name Sex and the Saints is actually in Section 5 of the CKAs in Section C. So if I scroll all the way up here, I know exactly where this is. It's not in A, not in B, it's in C. So it's in C, and I can look through and go, where is that? Sex and the Saints, boom, right here. Developing the shared language and practices. Brittany brought us an hour and a half. Now what that shows to me is that here towards the bottom, when I download that, or if I'm curious, I can look that up and say, all right, this is the Sex and the Saints PDF. This is where I'm going to get that CKA shown from AASECT and any other form documents that are supportive for it. So what I mean by that, and what I'd like to show, is let's look at the CKA 5 section C. Let's see, right here, CKA, or section V, CKA, section C, D, M, O, and R for the Rocky Mountain Sex Summit. I just know that from the acronym. So let's bring this in here. So Alex put this CKA section. So if I downloaded that, it's got 5.5 credits. And this one it's saying it meets the sections on these ones. This is how I want you to put this together. She did this beautifully. She highlighted where we're getting the CKAs and where she's placing them. So important. If you can do this right at the beginning or identify where you can place those, super easy. CKAM, which essentially puts us in a place that if I go to this back part and we go to the CKAM section, right here, CKAM, then I can go to the Rocky Mountain Sex Summit with Amanda Montel, and in showing, look at that, Amanda Montel, 1.2 hour or 1.25 hours right here within that. And the rest of it does the exact same. It puts anybody that has no idea what the Rocky Mountain Sex Summit is, maybe never attended, we can look and go, okay, that's CKAO for 1.5 hours. That's CKAC for 0.5, which we talked about earlier with Michelle Sanchez. CKAD, she put down, there's an hour here, there's an hour 0.5 here, and all of those lead up to 5.5 credit hours. Beautifully put together. It organizes it so well so that anybody that downloads that can now chase it through and they don't have to guess where it is. They don't have to read every single one. And it's already set up to know that we're in the CKA or we're in the section 5 for CKAs and where those sections are at, where they can look at it. And in the document, it shows it. So be sure to highlight and show those. Another good example is that in the Tina Schermer Sellers one, the one's got 46. She's got 46 credits here because she took this class. This is the syllabus. It's 13 pages long. It doesn't matter. Put all of it in there. Then we can read through anything that we need to. And just as this does, we get towards the bottom here, and all of a sudden it'll start telling you, because these courses are designed to make it so that AASECT can see where these hours are at. Boom, it's telling you where the application can be put at. Day 5 is under ethics and ethical behavior for 3 hours. 3 hours, day 4 for section B. These are the CKAs. Then you've got the ones down here for the sex therapy training hours. Day 1 is 2 hours. Day 1 is another 3 hours for section B. They have it all placed in here. And she did a great job of saying there's 12 hours of sex therapy training for a total of 46 hours. And right here, there's 34 hours in core knowledge education for that total of 46. And then she's got her CEs that says that there's 46 CEs. This is a great combination. Uploaded it beautifully here, where again, we can say 46 CEs from NWIOI, and we have the NWIOI by Tina Schermer Sellers CE list. So we have that whole list there. So anything that I show up NWIOI, I know is going to be underneath that. And now all the extras that can come up, where we've got, again, section V or section VI, STT, that's the sex therapy training. Like for instance, this will pull up a screenshot because she took a screenshot. Anything that can be supportive, put them into a file, start saving them now, and start organizing them by saying where the section is, what section they are with CKAs or STTs, and then the name of the group, so we can easily show this to the next level. So this is the learning objectives. Me and her talked about this program before she took it and why that would count towards the STTs. We went through all the different learning objectives, and here they are. We have learning objective 1, 2, and 3, so that we can prove that that falls under how to do sex therapy, the work of sex therapy, and why it belongs under section 6. So that's all put together in that regard. I think another good show is a lot of you will go to the AASECT conference, and they will send you how many hours you completed. Make sure you scan in, because they will send you all of these. She went through and did a beautiful job again of, before she uploaded it or scanned it in, she put this section is going to go to STT. Me and her had talked together, went through the objectives, and decided that fancy meeting you here, an ethical framework for multiple relationships, was going to fall under how to do the work of engaging with the clients in the sex therapy. Whereas Listen to Black Women, the Power of Black Women's Collective Sexual Wisdom, was more of an education. and was going to go under section C for the CKAs. So she went through, highlighted, color highlighted. It's beautiful. Yellow is for STT. Purple is for CKA. Anything that helps differentiate. We could walk through each one of these just like this in STT section D. We can jump right over to STT section D. I went way too far. Section D. We've got the AASECT conference, ketamine-assisted therapy, the AASECT conference. Oh, yeah. Ketamine-assisted and sex therapy. And within the conference, ketamine-assisted therapy. Do you see, this helps us find anywhere and anywhere that it possibly could be. Total of 16.5. We've got the hours through here of how many hours she got and what she's putting towards it. Very, very slick from AASECT, but that extra addition to organizing really helps take it to that next level. So this is what I want to see in all of them. Organize, organize, organize. It's going to save you so much time in the long run. It saves me time. I can approve your application faster to get it in so we can go through that waiting period of when they approve it. And it also helps that they can find everything they need versus them getting confused and rejecting your application. So telling them where it's at, I can't overemphasize this enough. That's why I'm spending so much time on it. The more organized we are with Section 5 and Section 6, the smoother this process will go. And again, any syllabi you have from college, any syllabi you have from AASECT, save them all, get outlines, write out where you're getting your hours from. We need to be able to argue where that they are and why we're putting them in the places that we're putting them. That makes things so much easier. And the more that we can have someone really get into it, it's going to be much easier. Then the application goes through the SAR, so you put the PDF of the CE that was there, and then she uploaded her SAR as a document for her philosophy from SAR. Put in her CV, her DOPA license. Then comes the thing that is going to be added to one of the next ones. It'll be after after the clinical practice. But there is a list of presenting issues in psychosexual disorders. This is coming from the DSM as well as other things that show up. So from LGBT issues, OCD, vulvodynia, erectile issues, sexual functioning, shame, out of control sexual behavior, intimacy. There's a lot of things that we can place in there, but we're also looking for like hypoarousal, hyperarousal. We're looking for erectile issues. We're looking for psychosexual disorders from the DSM. So we want to keep track of those while we're working through your 300 hours. So we know what we have treated before, even if it's just once, or if it's multiple times, we want to be able to keep that because we're going to be putting in the number of times that we experienced that and the people that we worked with. And then this one, I'll show you in the application here, but this one is like how many individuals, how many couples, how many children, how many, we'll find that it doesn't tell us here, it just says number. Ultimately coming down to how many hours of sex therapy did you perform addressing psychosexual issues while you're under supervision. Then you put in my email. You send me an endorsement letter that they'll give to you on jot form. I send it back to you. I also send you a professional a letter of endorsement. You get that from any supervisor. She met with Jordan Rulo, which perfect example here. Jordan Rulo sends in a letter of recommendation. Jordan Rulo also fills out a form just like I do. Puts the name, their name, where they are in it, how long they've known the person for, if they are the primary. So in this situation, we need to know how many hours per month. Again, you can't exceed that 6. And then how long you've been supervised by the person. In this situation is over 18. Any supervision hours over 6, the supervisor needs to provide a letter of recommendation. Anything under, you don't need that letter of recommendation. They write how many hours were underneath and then do a signature. Easy. They send it back to you and then send you a letter of recommendation, and you apply that letter of recommendation within this. Then you also get your professional colleague endorsement form, looks very much the same, how long have you known them, and then also their letter of recommendation. You need 2 of those at least. And that solidifies the application. This organization, I am going to continue to show these all counted for AASECT, and they were all AASECT approved. These ones were not AASECT approved, so they counted for half credit, and they have you differentiate those. So it's really important that you look at that. But you can see just how important it is that to save you time going to the core education and writing down where you're going to put them, or where things may show up, where they might not show up, where you may want to put them, because you can adjust. You have a max of 20 hours in each, but a minimum of 3. The final thing I think that's important is section D here. If you don't have any postgraduate training in couples counseling, you have to have 16 hours of couples counseling training to be a sex therapist. So that could be with Imago, Gottman, Snarch, EFT, Gottman, anything along those lines. But make sure that's been overlooked by some clinicians as well. So I know this is a fire hose of things. If I could encourage you the most, take it slow. Anything you receive, put it into a file, a folder, start saving it as section 5, section 6, so that you have this organized. You can see where things are at. You can always adjust it if needs be, but that organization can be really helpful. I'm going to stop sharing real quick while I come over to the certification. I'm going to pause 1 second. Okay, let me share this. So we've got screen 3 here. Move this out of the way. This is what it looks like. So if I can put everything we just talked about, you're putting your name, your pronouns, credentials, everything you saw at the very beginning, your address. I'm a current AASECT member. I've remained current. Those are so important. You have to keep paying your dues or that doesn't work. And that you're certified and licensed to be able to practice as a therapist. Answering these, going through if you have had misconduct, you're signing, saying you understand the code of conduct and you're going to adhere to it. Then you start those files. So this is where you put your university files or your transcripts. And then your comprehensive sex therapy training program. So if you go through a program and they give all of it through any organization that you've got, the NWIOI, Bueller Institute, Modern Sex Therapy, CIIS, there's multiple places you can go. Oftentimes they'll give you a transcript, a certificate, and they say, hey, this has covered all of them. So if you got the all, you just place it right in there. If you did somewhat like what Alex did, she did 46 hours there, and then she had other ones that were put together from her university time, as well as some side ones and AASECT. This is where you start putting that in. So you put in the title here, and this is where it's really great to be able to put in, the Gottman, the institution, the NWIOI, how many hours were in that, the month and the year, and asynchronous or synchronous, and then save that row. So that's exactly how these things come out, so that you can end up seeing, so it comes across and starts looking like this. Ultimately, that is what you just do row after row, file after file within that. So you place these together in each one of the courses in each one of the sections. And then at the very end, you add in your AASECT CEs. So that is everything that we were just pulling up. All of the things that are AASECT approved that get you 1 per 1 hour from the university, from these programs, or any AASECT sponsored ones, you put in this. Any non-AASECT account for half, you put in this. You upload those files. This is where the section 5, section 6, so like section V, section VI, and then that's where it's super important to be able to add in, just like right in here where you've got section 5, CKA, section B, and then the name, section 6, STT, section C, Sex Therapy 101, Part 3. And that's where those will come into play. It makes it so much easier. That's where you would upload them. Put them in a file so that you can find them and you can easily, like once this is organized, all it is plug and play here, you guys. Then you upload your CV, your resume, for your professional license, your clinical experience, where you've been getting your experience from, This is the important one that this is going to be added on, and I don't have it added yet. So the number of cases, not hours, the number of cases. So maybe you saw 23 couples with 5 males, and over the course of it, 32 adult females, 0 children, 0 families, and 14 gender diverse individuals. Then in position 2, you had different numbers, or maybe you're just in one place. Then you go with the total hours of sex therapy, hours placed in there. But in here, we're going to be putting in like vulvodynia and, well, if I could spell it right, and maybe OCSB, things along those lines. You're going to put in all of the things over the 300 hours that you've worked with. Total hours of sex therapy, clinical hours, and that's where you need to have over your 300. Then you got your endorsement forms. So online fillable version, you click on this, and then you can send that link over to me. Like sending this link to me for the professional supervisor, and then colleague endorsement, you send them to the people you have those 2 endorsements that you need. But this is the downloadable PDF. I've seen some people use this. I think the majority of people use that online really well. They just have to then download it as a PDF and then send it to you. Then you upload your endorsement files here, number of supervision hours. They just need to meet the number. That's why it's really helpful to have to fill out that form, or that tracking sheet. So you've got the dates, how many hours you went in with group and individual, total number of hours, and the 2 professional colleagues and their numbers as well. Then you got your final things here that you have to place together, your signature, next steps. You hit submit, and then that triggers it to come to me. And then I go through all of them. Again, the faster and easier I can go through it, the quicker I'm able to then submit it or give you feedback and say, hey, this thing needs to, and I go through each one of them so that your letter, everything is sound, it's going through, so we have the highest chance of having it go through that first time, and to make sure it's organized. So I want us to be able to start this organization at the very beginning, so that this does not feel like a big overarching scary hard thing, or that we get any surprises at the end. I've had plenty of times I've talked with supervisees and they're like, I'm ready. And I'm like, actually, you didn't have a supervision contract before you got these. Those don't count. Or where is this education? Where is this syllabus? Where are these hours coming from? And then I've seen a lot of supervisees be like, oh, I don't know. It's just 12 hours in this. Can't I just place it anywhere? It's like, no, we've got to show where those hours are going, why we can put them there. And then you got more hours of what did we learn? Where is that coming from? How many hours am I going to do it? Print it off, writing things down. Wherein, if you can right now, save them as a PDF, write your thoughts out when it's fresh, organize it, put it in the place you want it to be, and have it organized in that regard so that it is just upload when you're there. Once we hit these hours and we're done and the excitement's already up, that there's minimal adjustments versus a really big process of organizing at the very end. So if you have questions, first off, going over to the tracker sheet, I have notes that cover all of the different parts within the application process and the requirements to become an AASECT certified sex therapist. Look in there and try and make it abbreviated as much as possible. If you're unsure, talk with me, your supervisor, and we can get some of these things figured out. But let's get you organized up front, so at the end, it is just a breeze to push through, and we can upload things, make minimal adjustments, and you can continue busting it out the way that you want to. Really excited for you to be on this journey to be a certified sex therapist. I'm here for you, and I'm rooting for you too. So glad that you share the same passion of sexual health, and I look forward to many more interactions with you as time goes on.